What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Game Plan. It's NFL Week 10, and we're going through the best bets of the week. We're going to take a look at the spreads and the totals and all that good stuff with the GOAT, John Statsational Alesia, top 10 DFS player in the world, professional sports bettor, known far and wide as the brain, the mind behind the Sharp app as well. So a lot of great praise for you, John, right here. Even though we couldn't get together last week, I wasn't happy about it.
It was a busy week, unfortunately. Yeah, we're not able to get together, but we're back, and of course, it's been a slow week in the news this week, so we got plenty of time to bang out a show together.
I need some degenerate gambling action, but actually, I want some advantage better action, and that's why we're here. Let's break down some of the best bets for NFL Week 10, and let's jump right into it here. We got a Sunday morning special out in Germany, in Deutschland. Giants at the Panthers. Danny Dimes and crew, 6.5-point favorites in this one. Game total of 40.5. The Panthers are, I don't know who the quarterback is. I'm assuming they're going to keep rolling with Bryce Young. Maybe he hasn't looked that bad since his return. Andy Dalton still dealing with the injury from that car accident. So, Giants in the news this week. I was just reading the Post. They're all but kind of talking about the end of the Dimes era. It's time to give up on Dimes.
Yeah, I mean, I had some friends talking. A lot of Giant fans. They're like, got to get rid of Dable after last week. They got to get rid of Dable, but some of them are saying, look, maybe you got to give him a shot with his own quarterback. So that could be what we're looking at. If they keep, I think it's either or. Like, if Dimes is gone, that means Dable's probably going to be here, and he'll usher in the new quarterback and see if they can develop somebody. But yeah, it just has not been good. But in this game, look, you're playing another team that hasn't looked very good. They're coming off of a win. It was one of the few games in the last few weeks that really knocked out some people, shook up some of the survivor picks. A lot of people took New Orleans in the circle pool. They were the second most popular team. And that's a whole nother disaster that's going on in New Orleans. But I don't love this game. I think they've got it priced pretty correctly, both on the total and the side. I think if I had a lean in the game, the Giants are the better team. I don't think the Giants are nearly as bad as maybe the perception and the record are, but I think Carolina is every bit as bad, even though they're coming off that win last week. I think Carolina is just the worst roster in the NFL. By a good margin. I think this is the kind of game where, the Giants against an inferior opponent. I mean, I know it's tough to lay points here with the Giants against anybody. This is probably the last time that's going to happen this year. But at a neutral site, that's what makes it a little bit more difficult as well. How motivated are both of these teams to kind of play in Germany? Are they focused on the game? I don't love it for betting purposes, but I think my lean would be on the Giants.
It's not good eating in Germany.
Well, I mean, have you been? You have not been.
No.
I have been. I've been to Frankfurt. Is this game? I believe this game's in Frank. Is it in? I think it's in Frankfurt. No, it might not be. But
I would imagine it's a place of terrible food. Like you just cannot find relief from the terrible. That's my uninformed opinion of Germany.
The sausage. It's the good schnitzel.
That sausage is gross, dude. Come on.
Yeah. I had some good. Yeah, it's not. Look, you're not going to Italy. You're not going to France. It's a little different cuisine, but yeah, I cut out. I was there for like a few days for work, and I think I skipped out on work and just started hitting some local places to eat. Frankfurt, at least, was an odd city because in that it was very modern and old at the same time. I mean, I guess you could say New York City's like that, but this is European cities are just older.
Yeah,
cities. So you had some real old architecture and then some brand new modern buildings.
It's because we bombed the shit out of that place in 44.
Yeah, there was bombing in a lot of cities.
They had to rebuild it from scratch. Listen, you know what? I'm not into the sausages or the pierogies or any of that shit, but this is Carolina defense is terrible. They're so bad. Everybody looks good against Carolina. If this was on the main slate, I would be so excited about this game. Tyrone Tracy is about to go beast mode in this game. Look for like 100 yards plus. We got to find the props on this one. But a lot of overs here, especially Tyrone Tracy would be somebody I'm going to be all over in this one. I think Malik Neighbors can style here. This will be a game I think the Giants will do well in. I don't think the Bryce Young resurgence ends here. The Giants do one thing well. They rush the quarterback pretty well. Like they are getting sacks, and Bryce Young is not going to do well under pressure. Can't see big dude coming at him. He just gets all scared. Like when you're 5'10" and a 6'7" man just running at you. What are you going to do? It's scary. I've been there. I've lived that. It's not fun. I get it. I feel Bryce Young's pain. Yeah, it's a disaster. I could see the Giants winning, but I'm not laying 6.5. But
it's tough to lay that much.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. First game, main slate, and this is a really interesting game and a really interesting favorite. The Patriots are at the Bears. The Bears are at home, 6.5-point favorites, and again, that's coming off the debacle. They played terrible offense last week. This one has a 38.5-point total. Bears 6.5-point home favorites here, John. You laying 6.5 points of chalk on the Bears after Caleb's performance last week?
Yeah, it's unusual week. Boom, first two games here. You've got big favorites who are with bad teams.
Yeah,
just because
you don't see that every day.
These other teams are so bad. I'm leaning towards Chicago in this game. Not even a lean. I think I'm going to actually have a bet on this one at the 6. Yeah. I do like the Bears.
Is it a power rankings thing? What is the reasoning here?
Not so much the power rankings, although I could look and see where we've got them this game this week, which I think it's probably pretty close to where the number is. Yeah, the power rankings have it at 8. With a pretty low scoring game, 36 on the total, which I do expect this to be kind of low scoring. No, this is just some other modeling that I have on this game is pointing towards a Chicago win. I could certainly see it. I think there was some disappointment last week. Look, the Bears offense has not looked very impressive over the last couple of weeks. I think there'll be opportunities here. I mean, you saw New England New England screwed up, in my opinion. But there were two teams that screwed up last week and not going for the 2 at the end of the game made no sense. New England with that. I mean, that was
Tampa should have gone for 2 there.
Oh, absolutely.
As good as that offense has been, I don't know. Every time I see Todd Bowles making decisions, I'm like,
well, you're familiar with Todd Bowles. I like Todd Bowles, good coordinator, terrible head coach.
Yeah, I don't. He's not the kind that's going to be taking chances.
I knew before they scored that they weren't going for 2, and in that situation, you absolutely had to go for 2.
Against KC on the other side. What do you guys do?
Well, you're relying on a coin toss to hopefully not give him the ball back, and against one of the best defenses in the league in Kansas City. I know they moved the ball fairly well, Tampa, but New England, similar situation. By the way, I hate the argument in all these things like, oh, you might as well just go for it, go for 2, or go for it on 4th down and whatever it is because your team sucks. To me, it's either the right play or it's the wrong. I never understand that your team sucks. You're 1-6, you're 2-6. You're like, you might as well just go for it. Well, if it was the right move to go for it, you'd go for it when you were 6-2. Like none of that. That's the mentality. By the way, that's the average gambler's mentality as well. It's this fear of lose. Like when you have nothing to lose, then you could go ahead and just throw caution to the wind. It's when you have everything to lose that you get scared. And this is not just gamblers. This is in every sport. Look, when you're down 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, you're going to play a different style game, right? You're going to take more chances. There's another thing where they talk about quarterbacks, some of the best quarterbacks of all time, especially the quarterbacks who had the ability to come back in games and give you those exciting finishes, were quarterbacks who were willing to throw interceptions. So if you have to in a situation where you're up 14, you take no chances with the ball. When you're down 14, of course, you're going to take more chances with the ball. So when we're in those situations, people in general, have this mentality of, we're in a situation where it can't get any worse, so we might as well just go ahead and go balls to the wall and take a lot of risk. So kind of keep that in mind. It happens when it happens in a bad way when we risk. When we're risk taking in sports betting, you see people do it in the market. I was an expert witness on a case, I think I mentioned it to you before, where the guy was this is at a huge bank. No, it's actually a small bank, but the guy kept doubling down on his bets in the 90s. This happens all the time.
I got caught up in a Caribbean Keno situation like that one time.
On Caribbean Keno. There you go.
Yeah, it was a scam. It was not a real. I was being scammed by the dealer, John. I was 22. He was faking it.
In an actual live casino?
Yeah, it was on a boat though. It was like not on a boat in Dominican Republic, not a regulated, like a fake casino in Dominican Republic back 25 years ago. They were scamming me, John, but I got them back good. You know how I got them back? They kept extending credit. I'm like, double down. Like, basically, it's this game where they pluck a ball out of a machine, and you have to get to 100. But what you don't realize is the ball, he's faking it. He's going to get you up to like 80 or 90 real quick, and then the journey from 90 to 100 will take you forever. You'll go backwards. They will just keep fucking double one more time, and so it's a fake game. But you know how I got out of it?
No.
I gave him a credit card that only had a $2,000 limit on it, and we have 10,000. Yeah, sure. You know, they're just holding it, and then they try to charge it, and there was only $2,000 in it. So then I had to fucking flee the country because I thought these pricks were gonna like, put a lien on there. I don't know what they're put me in jail, debtor's prison in Barbados.
Yeah, it's probably not what you want to be doing.
I fled to Dominican. I'm never going back. I have a debt on the books in Dominican Republic. I started getting these letters under my door, like, you have to come to the casino right now and pay off your debts. I was like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I haven't shared that story, John. I don't know. You just brought it out of me. They got me because I was embarrassed.
I think, especially back in the day when you had because it's credit. I was actually going to mention that you could only do that because they were giving you credit.
Yeah,
that's like in the old days when you had your local bookmaker who was extending you credit. People would get themselves in trouble by doing just that, doubling up on their bets. And this guy, of course, in the trading world, I mean, it was complicated, but he was able to circumvent things, and he was showing gains as opposed to losses, and he was able to trade basically on credit and get himself to the point where they lost $800 million. So that happens, but you got to keep that in mind as a sports player. It's called martingale.
Yeah, the martingale. Yeah, that's the
where you keep doubling
it. Yeah,
it's like, well, eventually they'll win, but yeah,
you will eventually win.
Yeah. Oh, you have to eventually, but you're going to run out of money real fast before you do.
I've done that at the roulette table. After about 10 blacks in a row, I start tossing down those reds. You know what I mean? You're like, all right, even though it means there's no reality to it, I don't care. I'm like, it can't.
What no one does is the reverse martingale.
It's the gambler's fallacy.
Which I'm not saying it's at the end of the day, you're the vig and the odds that the juice, basically the vig that the house is going to keep on all these table bets or table game bets is going to remain the same, but you're better off every time you win trying to double up on a 50-50 and hope for the one day where you can win 10 in a row and just clean them out.
That's what I do in blackjack.
Everyone does it the opposite way.
You know what my blackjack way is? If I'm not playing sharp blackjack, which I don't because I haven't learned how to count the cards. It's you get your win, double, get a win, take $5 out, but keep doubling, and each time you take one starting point out. So with each win,
that's how I do it.
Yeah, I give myself one more shot at the run.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll play it 3, 4, 5 times like that, and then come back to my original bet.
Yeah. Oh shit! All right, play my style of blackjack.
My buddy does, and my buddy plays between, 2,000-3,000 to 5,000-6,000 a hand.
Oh my!
And I was just with him at the Hard Rock last week, and
wait, he's playing at the Hard Rock at those levels with their terrible blackjack payouts.
No, well, he negotiates a better deal on the payouts because he's got to play at a private table. So he plays.
I was going to say, you can't, if you went into the Hard Rock and you just sit there and you put real money on that table where they're paying what is it, 5/6?
6/5, yeah, 6/5. He gets 3-2, and he gets surrender on 16. You can surrender on anything, but typically you're going to surrender.
Really? See, that's what's
up. Look, if you've got the money, they'll negotiate with you, and he plays. I mean, he wires in like $150,000 before he goes there, and he was beyond that. He was then on markers, and then was able to get it all back last week. So it was quite the run.
That sounds like a heart. That gives me uncut gem vibes.
Yes.
I don't like it at all. So we're trying to be advantage bettors here, John. None of that
Agreed.
degeneracy. So let's get into this. But I do have a question for you on this Patriots Bears game. How do you feel about Caleb Williams this week? Do you think it's bounce back season? I mean, this guy has had two or three really exciting games where he looked great. And then he's had a bunch of games where he looked like an absolute turd. Now he's going up against a bad defense. Is this the week to flip back over to him? Or is this total telling you maybe stay away?
Yeah, I'm not going to get too excited on Williams here as far as if you're
not fantasy production.
Yeah,
not
fantasy production. I don't know if we could expect a massive game, especially with this point total.
It's very low. It's very low.
I think he would be probably just a naked play at best. I don't think they're looking to stack him here.
I don't like the sound of that. All right. Fuck that shit. I do like the look of Drake May this year, but I don't like him in this spot.
Yeah, I think there's optimism for the future with both of these kids, but
Yeah.
I don't see it necessarily. The Bears defense is pretty good, so it's going to be a tough game for them.
It's very, very, yeah. Their defense has been why they've won. So yeah, I'm going to avoid rookies against like above average defenses most of the time here. Let's move on. We got the Bills at the Colts. 47.5 point total in that one, and a surprisingly small 3.5 point spread. This is the Flacco-led Colts, the better version of that team. They are at home. A lot of things to like about it, but I'm still a little surprised when I see Buffalo only 3.5. It's Buffalo, Super Bowl contender, and then you got the Colts, who are the laughing stock of the AFC. I don't really get this spread. What is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there's a lot more talent on the Buffalo side. You got Allen at the quarterback, obviously a superior quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the league here. I'd have a hard time taking it. I think, to me, this is a bet on the Bills, or it's a pass. We're laying points here. Like the Giants were on neutral site. We got a road dog, road favorite, and we're laying more than the 3. So, it makes you a little uneasy, but I think I still think the Bills are going to be the play. They're the side on this game. The total is, I've got it up here as well, 48. So we're looking for DFS purposes. I think for sure this is a game. The Colt games are ones that you typically want to target. They've been very good in DFS, so I expect there to be some scoring in this game. And I would lean more on Josh Allen in a high-scoring matchup.
Big time. I think I'm going to bet. I think this is a play for me. I'm going to bet this one. But I wanted to point out, and we are using the sharp odds screen, the fastest, nastiest odds screen in the business. Live updates happening on screen. Over 60 sports books available. So wanted to mention that from the Sharp app. The Sharp odds screen, spectacular. This is the new.
If you
Sharp 2.0.
put your cursor over you see the New England game, the 7 change there.
Yeah,
it'll tell you like how long ago that changed. It's nice.
Yeah, numbers are changing on screen. No one else has this technology in real time. But what I noticed is on this particular bet that if you scroll over, it's really FanDuel. You want to hit it on FanDuel. It's 3.5 minus 115. That is the best number available. If you're not looking at the sharp odds screen, you might end up at -4 at the same minus 115 on Fliff or a different book. I think DraftKings has it at -4 as well. So you want to get this one on FanDuel. You will snipe half a point. 3.5 is better than 4. In my perfect world, John, I'd like to get this one to 3, but you're probably going to pay through the nose for that extra half a point. I'm thinking that's going to cost like another 10, 15 beeps. Worth it?
10's worth it. Coming down from the 3.5, it's 10 would be worth it. I forget the exact number off the top of my head. 14, 15. Maybe let's call it 15 cents, 16 cents, something like that. But yeah, if you can get it at 10 cents better at.
I don't think it's necessary. By the way, I think the Bills are going to blow these guys out. I think you can actually alt line this thing up to -7. The Bills should blow these guys out. And I like Flacco. I'm a fan. And I get what the numbers are showing. By the way, the Bills have been bad versus the run. They got Jonathan Taylor. There's some causes for optimism here for the Colts, but no, it's the Bills. They have, I'm taking the Bills side of this one. Just a better team. It's a weird number. Matter of fact, let's take a look at the Sharp report. Is this one on there?
I don't believe the game's on there.
No. Okay. Well, there you have it. The Sharps are not on this game on either side of it as of yet. All right. DFS. Oh, yeah. DFS angles for this one, John. Plenty of them, right? The Bills. It looks like Keon Coleman's going to be out for this game. So I think this might be the Amari Cooper welcome to Buffalo game. He's back. I think he should be healthier. He's had the wrist issue. We'll see if that works out. James Cook in a great spot against the Colts defense that has not been good. On the Colts side, it's Downs and it's Jonathan Taylor. Two really good spots. Downs has been the favorite target of Joe Flacco. He's priced up on the sites, DraftKings and FanDuel, but so what? And then Jonathan Taylor, the Bills have been one of the worst teams against the run this year. Now, I don't put that much into some of those numbers. I think there's a lot of variance that happens, but in general, Jonathan Taylor should be better under Joe Flacco than he was when Richardson was the quarterback. And then, of course, you've just got a good matchup for him. So there are some DFS viability, the 47.5 point total as well. All right, let's move on to the next one on the docket, John. Vikings at the Jaguars, 44.5 point total. The Vikings are 6.5 point favorites in this one. Jaguars have been a team that you just like anybody who's playing against these guys, you want to start them in your fantasy league. But what about the 6.5 point number? Let me think about the Jaguars. They lost Christian Kirk for the season. They don't know who their starting running back is. It's now Bigsby and ETN. There's no real clear guy there anymore. BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr., been rocking a Q tag for a few weeks, but he seems like he's going to be okay. So with that being said, 6.5 point edge to the Vikings on the road. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in real time, you guys are looking at it. This has moved from 6 to 6.5 at some books. I believe DraftKings moved it just now. BetMGM has just moved it from 6 to 6.5. I do like Minnesota as well. Another game we've got road favorite. My lean here is definitely going to be on Minnesota. I agree with what you're saying as far as you're looking to target Jacksonville. That's probably been the best target. If you look at do we have the power rankings? Do you have the power rankings up by chance? Go to the main power rank, like the main screen, and just look at Jacksonville. Look at that last column.
Yeah,
that last column there, or not the last one, but yes, that column. Basically, is going to show you like the offensive passing minus defensive passing. The higher the number, the better. So what you see on Jacksonville is just how bad they've been against the pass, 68.6 yards. So just that's defensive passing column. That's 68.65 above average of what teams are throwing.
This is bananas.
What their opponents averaging, they're giving up over almost 70 yards more than what their opponents are averaging. That's what that's saying. So we really want to look to target the Jacksonville game, certainly for their opponents. And then now, in comes Darnold and Jefferson. So I think we're going to get some points put up here. Fantasy points wise, I think we're going to get points in the game as well. So I like this game to go over. My lean would be on Minnesota to be able to cover this one.
Love it. So and you're on the over in this game.
Yeah, I like the over. It is at
over
now
44.5.
Yeah,
44 depending.
I like this game to go over.
It's at 44 on MGM. It just moved on Fanatics. And by the way, guys, if you're everything we're showing on screen here, these are Sharp app tools from the Power Rankings tool that John custom creates each week. It's great for your fantasy leagues and DFS. To the Sharp Odds screener here, where you see live odds changing on screen, 61 sports books, including some incredible ones that are available to everybody in the U.S., like Fliff. Fliff is available to everybody. It's an interesting sweepstakes sportsbook kind of a thing. Hangs out in a little loophole. So you can, Fliff has actually really beatable lines as well. We have a specific tool for that one. So really some incredible stuff going on here on the Sharp app and some of the tools that we're talking about, including that and the Sharp report, of course, where you beat the closing lines by following along with what the sharpest bettors in the country are doing. It's really an incredible tool for your sports betting needs. So if you want to check that out, of course, DFS Army YouTube subscribers get 25% off DFSA 25. Check out sharp.app and check out this Sharp Odds screen and all the great tools that we have going on over there. All right, so John, moving on. Actually, I didn't talk about DFS angles on that game. I don't really like anything specifically on Jacksonville, but I do like the Vikings offense here. I think Aaron Jones is going to be one of the more popular running backs on the slate for the reasons you're showing here. But actually, let me look at the Sharp report. I just want to see the Jacksonville defense was very, very bad against the pass, less bad against the run. It's kind of above average against the run. If you look here, it doesn't scare me, but it's just interesting that they are a team that's been attacked via the pass. So how do you feel about, based on the Sharp report, how do you feel about, or the Power Rankings report, how do you feel about Sam Darnold in this one, and maybe some stacks with Darnold to Justin Jefferson or Hawkinson, or a little combo of that?
No, I mean, like I said, I'm never going to not stack against Jacksonville. So I think that's the way to go. You're paying up. I think he's 80. I forget what the price was. Maybe 8,800 this week.
On FanDuel. On DraftKings, Darnold would be 62.
No, Jefferson.
Oh, Jefferson. Yeah. That's not that bad of a price for JJ.
No, and you're going to have some value this week. There's value every week, but you got some value at wide receiver this week, so you'll be able to fit him in there. The
value wide receiver being what, the Saints guys.
The Saints game, you could have some cheap wide receiver. You might get it in Atlanta as well.
I think London's going to play.
Yeah, London will probably play, but we'll see. There's only like 4. It depends on the injuries. There's a couple of guys priced over 7,000 who are hurt. So you really don't even have that many guys over the 7K in the 7K.
Yeah, it's not. There isn't a ton of value. There's no value at running back this week. But
no.
But yes, there are some sketchy wide receivers that can get you in there if you luck guess the right one. I've been working on my cheat sheet for this weekend for the Sunday slate, and Mason Tipton and Charles Tillman Jr. There's a couple of names down there that you're trying to figure out. All right, is this guy going to play? How much work is he going to get? Because the Saints got to throw to someone. There's no wide receivers left on that team. All right, let's move on. Broncos at the Chiefs. That game has a 41.5 point total. Chiefs are 8-point home favorites. John, the Broncos have played the Chiefs pretty well traditionally, I guess. But 8-point home favorite sounds about right to me against the Broncos team that, is rolling with a rookie against a pretty good Chiefs defense. I'd love to have this again under 7, but you ain't getting that. Closest you could do is, at your Hard Rock over there, looks like 7, the number at 7.5 there.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get this one to get under 7. Or to the 7. I have to lean on Kansas City. I've taken a lot of favorites here so far, but I like Kansas City to be able to cover this one. Denver.
I don't even know you anymore.
I know. I'm a different person here this week.
What is happening?
But Denver last week was exposed a little bit. They stepped up in competition. They haven't played anyone nearly as good as Baltimore, and they got blown out of the water there. Now the Baltimore offense, probably the best offense in the league.
Chiefs aren't blowing anybody out of the water this year.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Chiefs, is that they're really defensive minded. Now you saw their offense come to life last week, but that's against Tampa, who might be one of the worst defenses in football. So
Tampa's another team. Tampa is beyond even Jacksonville. Whoever's they playing.
They score.
Whoever's against these guys, play them.
Yeah, Tampa's great because they put points up with you, and they'll go back and forth with you. But that's the hard part here is, if this game stays, it's supposed to be a low-scoring game. It should be. You got two pretty good defenses here. These low-scoring games with a big total, if the game is to what the game script sort of is calling for, it's tough to lay the 7.5, 8 points here. But I think Denver's going to have a real hard time scoring against this Kansas City offense, and it's still Mahomes. I think he can get them into the 20s and cover this game.
Yeah, this one has all the makings of kind of an ugly game. 41.5 point total when KC is part of it. That to me is telling me the odds makers love both of these defenses. I would not play Kansas City. I think this is a don't touch it. 8 points, and you know how it is in KC. They go down, something happens defensively, and now they're catching up. They'll probably win. but it's just a little too much spread for me. I'd feel more comfortable teasing this one and just kind of playing for the KC win here. I do think that the Broncos just have been competitive against this opponent in the past. Like these divisional rivalries, it's not like the Baltimore game at all. These teams play each other all the time, and it's like a different level of pride. It's the same way that the Raiders seem to play, like Kansas City tough sometimes. You'd think they'd get destroyed, but the divisional rivalry thing seems to like tighten things up a little too much for me. I don't see any real DFS angles in this game. There's nothing to target here. The one player that's going to be super popular this week will be DeAndre Hopkins coming off that big game. And I have to say, it's correctly popular. As long as he avoids Pat Surtain in coverage, which he might not, he's probably going to be the most popular play or one of the most popular plays on the main slate. And as that ownership goes up on DraftKings, I like him less, knowing that there is a shutdown corner on the Broncos that could end up on him. I'm not saying he will. You never know, but he could. All right, John. Next up, we've got the Falcons at the Saints. Falcons 4-point road favorites. The aforementioned Saints just kind of falling apart this year. 46.5 point total on this one. And you said it before, like what's going on in New Orleans? I get it. The quarterback got hurt, came back. They're losing to the worst teams. What's happening over there? Olave out, Shaheed out. I don't have any players left.
Yeah, I mean, banged up. Certainly, the wide receiving core gonna be banged up here, and that's for DFS purposes. We don't mind seeing that because we get a little bit of value on some receivers, but still have Kamara. And obviously last week that was just a kind of slam. We didn't get to do the show last week, but that was a slam because you always want to take running backs against Carolina. That was a great spot for him last week. But with this game, I think the line's just a little bit too high. The power rankings have it at 2, which is probably going to be surprising to a lot of people, and that's taking into account the stats for the entire season without Carr at the quarterback, where they really struggled offensively, and it's still showing as a 2. So I think this line is, I think they're kind of laying this, they're putting this number down a little higher than it should be. We should be getting less than a field goal. I think we get more than a field goal here, 3.5 to 4, depending on the book. I like the Saints to be able to at home muster up a win against this Falcon team. I still don't think the Saints are nearly as bad as how they've performed. That loss against Carolina, I think they bounce back this week.
They looked so good early in the season when they dominated Dallas. And then it turned out Dallas just stinks.
Yeah.
Like they fooled us with that game. Because I thought it was this great Saints defense. But the Saints defense stinks too. It wasn't that. It was Dallas being terrible. This is a weird one. Saints, this is a game where we're going to have to play some DFS plays. There's some value at wide receiver there with Olave and Shaheed out, where you've just got it's tipped in, and this other fellow, Cedric Wilson Jr., I believe is his name. And we're going to have to figure out who else. I mean, they are down to the fumes at wide receiver. I saw, a retread from San Francisco from like the 90s. Dante Pettis is on that team on the practice squad. Like, I don't know what they're going to do, but it's rough there. I think they're going to have to utilize their tight ends a lot more. You'll see a lot more Taysom Hill being used in this game just because they need pass catchers. So tough one, but I agree with you. Saints at home probably getting 4 in a close division rivalry as well. I think I would agree with you. That's probably a little too much. All right, next up, we've got the 49ers at the Bucks. 49ers coming in as road 5.5 point favorites. This game carries the highest spread on the main slate of games, 50.5 points. It's the aforementioned Bucks team, John. That's that team where fantasy points go to flower and multiply and be fruitful. Tampa allowing tons of. Wait, we've got to show it. Tampa, 30 yards above expectation to opposing passing games. The offense versus defense number, where you're measuring their offensive prowess and their defensive badness, sitting at 65 on the power rankings. This has been the team to target this year. Quarterbacks light them up. Wide receivers light them up with points. When we look at the power ranking sheet for this specific game, 288 expected passing yards for San Francisco. Tampa, you've got them winning this game on the power rankings, but the power rankings don't know that Tampa lost all of their wide receivers. But interesting that Tampa showing +2 here. So how do it's San Francisco +5.5. You've got Tampa +2. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely off with the injuries. I just also, I've got Tampa rated higher than probably a lot of people have them in the power rankings. And if you look at San Francisco, kind of been disappointing a lot this year. I really think that changes. I think when we look at this specific matchup, you look at the power rankings, they basically got them as they're even. These two teams are even. And quite frankly, if Tampa was healthy, they'd still be a dog in this game, but I'd be a little bit more apt to want to take them. And Tampa's played a really tough schedule. I mean, look at the teams that they've played. I just think San Francisco in this matchup, they're coming off a bye, and a team road favorites coming off a bye, I tend to like. I like them in that spot, and I like San Francisco here to be able to cover a fairly large number on the road. So this is another road favorite that I like this week, and I just think they're going to. It's real tough. The Tampa defense is not going to be able to stop San Francisco at all. I think San Francisco will have a hard time slowing down Tampa, but they'll slow them down just enough to be able to cover this one. It's a big number, 5.5, 6 points on the road, but I think San Francisco covers this one, and I would expect a lot of points in this game.
I mean, these picks are as out of character for you as I can ever remember in doing the show for multiple years. That is wild. With that being said, this is the game of the week on the DraftKings and FanDuel main slate. This is the one that stands out. Brock Purdy, if not the most popular quarterback, will be one of them. He should be the chalk this week in this matchup for exactly the reasons that you're seeing here. The power rankings love him. The team's getting healthier. I assume Deebo Samuel will be back and okay for this game. It's early. We haven't heard much, but he's been practicing, and they had a week off. I'm not sure what's going on. Christian McCaffrey might be back for this game. He might play and be fine. Right as of right now, he's practicing, so we'll see. But Christian McCaffrey could be back for this. On the Buck side, I mean, Cade Otton, what is going on here? This guy is going crazy out there, putting up 20+ points, has had double-digit targets each of the last 3 weeks. And then Tampa, much like the Saints, have a bunch of ne'er-do-well wide receivers whose names you don't know, one of which might have a good game for very, very cheap, just because there's no one else. So, yeah, I think the power rankings get fooled when all of your wide receivers go down. Like, it's just a tough spot for a team to lose Evans and Godwin, and they just really don't have any replacements for them on the roster. They just don't have anything to do. So they're doing their best. They're throwing it to Rashad White. They're throwing it to Cade Otton as much as they can. They're throwing it to, random no-name wide receiver. You don't know who they are. You don't know who they are. Trey Palmer. You never heard of him. I don't even know the other two. Raheem Jarrett.
Yeah, I'm forgetting all the names. Palmer, certainly everybody knows. But
Palmer, no, he's not good. And he hasn't been the best of them. Raheem Jarrett, there's another guy there. We'll pluck him in our lineups this week as punt plays. Your $3,500 guys. But I think it's actually Cade Otton and the running backs that are doing most of that work over there. We'll see if the lack of pass catching talent at the wide receiver position catches up to the Bucs offense this week and slows them down. It hadn't slowed them down the last couple of weeks. Let's see if they can keep it going. But yeah, 49ers side, you got to love everything going on there. Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, whoever it is. If Juwan is healthy, he's a bargain. If Pearsall's playing, he's a bargain. And of course, Debo's that pay up and George Kittle. I like everything about the 49ers this week. It's just picking which ones, but I like that Ayuk isn't there, so it less muddles the decision. All right, next up, we got the Steelers at the Commanders. Washington at home, 1.5-point favorites. This game carries a 45.5 point total. I'm a little surprised at the high total, with Steelers games having been very low scoring, or for the most part this year. Of course, this is the Russell Wilson cooking game. A couple little matchup thingies is just the Steelers. I always pay attention to the fact that the Steelers have an elite CB1 in Joey Porter Jr., and that usually pushes targets potentially away from the opposing WR1, which in this case is a scary Terry McLaurin. Beyond that, John, 1.5 points. So this one, at Bodog, it's 1.5 actually. At BetMGM, it's 3, and then it's 2.5. There we go. We'll call it 2.5 the FanDuel line as the prime, or 3 at DraftKings, wherever you want to go with this. There's a lot of this game is all over the place. It's nice to have the odds screen because you're going to go whichever side you want to be on. You could get a really, really good line here.
That is true. The sharp money came in. Now it depends. When you look at that too, you're getting juice. You're paying some juice there at the 1.5.
Not that much, but yeah.
Minus 135. So, but you get -3, minus 105. It's 30-cent difference there. If you want to get down to minus 105, but yeah, that's why it's important to have screens like this. Minus 102 over at DraftKings at the -3. So
I'm going to look at the best minus 2.5. It looks like it's probably Pinnacle at minus 115 for minus 2.5. So you're going to pay
minus 114. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to pay a little bit of juice to go from 3 to 2.5.
It's actually not that bad though. If you can get the Pinnacle line minus at the minus 2.5, minus 114.
I'd rather get 2.5. I'd significantly rather have 2.5 than 3.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think this one's priced right about right. I like this line. Sharp money came when this was at 1.5 at the open. The sharps hit it. Washington up, and that's why this line is a little bit higher now. So I would agree with that. Depending on the juice at the 1.5, I don't mind that line. I agree with you. Anything kind of under 3 though here, I think you can take it if you like Washington. I don't. It's not my favorite bet of the day. I wouldn't lean towards the Washington side though. In this game, this is another one it's going to be a low scoring. You would imagine fairly low scoring game. With the Pittsburgh defense, Pittsburgh doesn't put up a ton of points. We've seen Washington defense now has played a lot better. I think they're not getting as much of the credit, but over the recent weeks, this defense has improved. Shut down Chicago, did a pretty good job there against the Giants. So I don't expect Pittsburgh to really be able to put all that many points up on the board either this week. My lean would be Washington, and then on the total would be a tough call, but I do expect this to be a low-scoring game. So 45, I think, is a little bit high. I would stick it to the under.
I thought the total was I thought that total was high for this matchup. Commanders not getting exactly what you said, the respect of their defense not being terrible anymore. Like, we came into the season thinking Washington one of the worst defenses in the league, based on 2023 statistics, but that hasn't held up this year. They've been a little bit better, and especially the last few weeks. So I don't think George Pickens is like ridiculous priced. I don't even know what they were thinking. He's ridiculous priced. They've got him up in the stud zone with they have George Pickens at a price level where he hasn't paid off. I think he's 6,800 on DraftKings this week, which to me is not correct at all. He should be in the fives. High fives to me at best. So I'm out on that situation. And I don't like the Commanders team. The only real I don't like players against the Steelers. The only player that's kind of floating around in my mind is Noah Brown. Just that WR2 situation. I like that when Joey Porter's on the WR1. I think it'll push targets a certain way. So outside of that, not super interested in this one for DFS purposes. And I agree with you. I think Washington is the side. Especially when you're under 3, that means we're just really betting on them winning the game, and I do think they're going to win this game at home. Titans at the Chargers. Chargers only a 7.5-point home favorite in this one. 38.5-point total on FanDuel right now. That line is pretty consistent. You can get the 39 if you like the under on Circa and DraftKings. So I said only 7.5. Do we know if the Titans are going to roll out Mason Rudolph again, or are they going back to Levis?
I don't know. I don't
Does it
know the
matter?
answer.
Does it matter for the line?
And that was my second point. I don't really think it matters all that much.
It matters a little. I think Levis is way worse than Mason Rudolph.
I don't know if it's way.
I think he might be a bit worse. Can I get a bit worse? This is the defense of the week, the Chargers.
The Chargers are coming off back-to-back, basically blowout wins against very much inferior
bad
opponents.
offenses.
Now they're going to have to try to do it again.
Yeah, they're doing it to this kind of team.
That's the kind of team that they have been doing it to. I have a hard time giving up 7.5 points when a team. So I kind of like the points in this game. I'll take the 7.5. Look, they played the defense has been playing great. I mean, they're playing Harbaugh style of football, and they can throw it when they need to, but they're shutting teams down. I don't think do we have anything on
look, yeah, well, the Sharps got it.
Sharps got it at 6.5. Also, the
can I
public's
just,
on this one as
I'm
well.
going to share this. This is important, guys. This tool is so awesome. The Sharp Report. You never see this. This doesn't exist anywhere. I always talk about it, but to really clarify, other places get statistics from Sportsbook. This is like a direct phone call from the Sportsbook saying who the Sharps are on. You're getting notified before the line moves. And that's the key to this. If you're a bettor, if you want to be an advantage bettor, you've got to beat the closing lines. That's how you advantage bet. Part of that is done using the screener right here, because I can sort of tell where lines are going to move just by knowing where all these books are and knowing some of the sharp books. We're talking it through here, and you've seen some spots where you can see it. This line's starting to move. That's important. But the Sharp Report, we're just straight. These guys almost always beat the closing line. There are some spots where they haven't. Like today, it's really interesting to see. These are the ones in red are what they call super sharps, meaning multiple sharp bettors are on the same spot. And they almost always beat the closing line. You got the Chargers -6.5. They moved to -7. Washington -1.5. Now you're paying -2.5. But they do like Washington, by the way, John. So yeah, we have that one. We are on that sharp side. Baltimore -6.5. I think this one is already over 7. So this is a really cool tool if you like beating closing lines. And the college football ones are even better for that. So, I mean, look at this. Fresno State -8.5. It's -17 now. It's just like, if you want to be an advantage bettor, if you want to actually bet with an advantage over the sports book, I don't know how to emphasize that anymore. Everybody's a sucker paying 10% VIGs, and you're losing 10% after the weekend. You're like, hey, I bet $1,000. Why am I down 100? Yeah, because you're splitting all your stuff, because that's what most people do. If you can beat the closing lines, that will deliver that edge that allows you to beat the sports books over time. So I really highly recommend, if you are a Sharp app subscriber, just heavily utilizing the Sharp Report in your play, and be on it every morning, because those lines will move if you don't get to them right away. All right. So anyway, back to this game. I don't even know what game we're talking about anymore. Chargers at the Titans. Titans at the Chargers. Chargers defense. J.K. Dobbins. A lot of these Chargers wide receivers are starting to get popular. And I get it, but there are a bit too many of them for me, John. I'm starting to, it's Ladd, it's Quentin Johnston. Last week, all three of them got involved. I think defense and Dobbins is probably the best part of this particular one. What do you think?
No, I gave you I gave you my side there. I'm going to take the points.
I meant your DFS angles, man. You're the top DFS player in the world. I want to glean a little bit of knowledge.
DFS, this is it's a tough spot. Yeah, it would only be. Look, Tennessee's been good defensively as far as against the pass, but they've also been decent against running backs as well. I'd be real leery about taking anything in this game. They're not a team that you really want to target a lot in DFS. They play low scoring games. They hold. Forget about throwing on them. Like, you can't. And this is a team in the Chargers that don't really want to throw the ball anyway.
So Ladd McConkey is chalk this week. Is this an easy avoid?
I don't like it.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Let's get off the fucking chalk, John. Say it with some conviction, Kevin.
I don't like it at all. Yeah.
What do you want me to say? What would Bobby Wow do, or what would Statsational do? Do you want to earn that? You got to be like, dude, fuck this. You're playing that chalk. What are you, a sucker?
I think it's a sucker. I think it's bad chalk. You don't target Tennessee.
Hell yeah. Conviction. Hell no, Kev. Not doing that. Playing Ladd McConkey at 30% owned against the Chargers. Leave the suckers to do that. We're going to play sharp plays. I love it. Getting fired up today, John.
Calm down.
That's as fired up as I've seen you.
Yeah, I don't get too fired up.
No, this is as fired up as I've seen you get. And for me, it's exciting. All right. Jets at the Cardinals. My beloved Los Hetos de Nueva York taking on the Cardinals. 45.5 point total there. Jets are 1.5 point road favorites. Thank you very much. Against a Cardinals team. I think it's reeling. I don't know. They're a reeling team right now. Kyler Murray last week ruined one of my fantasy teams. Not happy about it. I'm still salty about that loss. But Jets on the road here. I think the Jets are winning this game, John. I'm just letting you know. I'm a fan. I got the sign up. Don't listen to me. But I think they're winning this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you here. I think, look, I thought we hit a bottom with the Jets. We have not quite hit that bottom yet. But I'm hoping that is the case. I think this Jet team is just better than the record has shown. If things broke right, you know, we're having much different conversations. You make a field goal, couple of bounces of the ball. I mean, I understand the situation. It's Rodgers. It's New York.
The Jets are a bad field goal kicker. If they just weren't missing all those field goals, they'd be 6-3. Like the record would be really different right now.
We would have a much different perspective on what this team looks like and our perception of this team, I should say. So I do agree with you. I think they're the better team. It's basically going to be a game, you know, with that spread, they basically have to just win the game.
You can get it at 1 on other books. Like you could just, again, the Pinnacle has it at 1.
Yeah, BetMGM 1 -1 -110. I think the Jets win this game. So, I mean, it's not one of my strongest plays of the week. This is an odd game, too, and when you're looking at DFS, I mean, it's 46 total. I could see this game going either way. Like, I could see some points being scored here. I could see, especially on the Jet side, I could see where they could put up some numbers. You got two expensive, if you look at it, two of their wide receivers are priced in the 7K range.
It's tough to play them.
Yeah,
DFS
tough to play them. You know, the Jets running the ball hasn't been that great with Breece Hall. So, like, I don't, and you can run the ball on the Jets, so we may see that.
You know, Arizona, yeah, and they can run the football. I looked at, just for DFS angle of this, I looked at James Conner, and you know, he got a ton of volume last week, but they did start really mixing in some of the other guys last week as well. You saw, I think Trey Benson got 8 or 9 touches in the game, so you're starting to kind of, I mean, Arizona's running offense is the best part of their game. I think that's the best thing that they do, their rush offense. I'm not impressed with the passing offense at all. Hasn't been very good. But the running game has been good for those guys. But I don't know. They're not the kind of team that's smart enough to understand that against the Jets, you should just pound the rock over and over and over again. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to screw it up and try to throw. Jets win this game. Not a whole lot of DFS goodness though. I like Garrett Wilson a little bit. I like the over on Garrett Wilson. I looked at the top props tool earlier, and our numbers are pointing to the over 6 or over 5.5 receptions for Garrett Wilson in this one. All right, last game of the main slate here. We got the Eagles at the Cowboys. Eagles are 7.5 point road favorites in this one, taking on Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. Dak Prescott gone for now. CeeDee Lamb dealing with an AC joint sprain of some sort, may or may not play. I'm leaning doesn't play. I don't know. Could be wrong, but I'm leaning doesn't play here. But 7.5 points against Dallas. Dallas has been a disaster. They might be better with Cooper Rush than they were with Dak. I know this is crazy as it sounds. That might be better. Dak has been terrible.
Yeah, I'm thinking that as well. I'm thinking they may even get a little boost here. You're getting a better line, obviously, because of that. And I think this could be one of those situations where I think they overvalue Dak against Rush. He didn't look terrible when he came in
What do you
last
think the
week.
line would be if Dak was the quarterback?
They'd still be a dog in this game. I think they're probably giving you this game would be under the 3. Philly be favored by probably less than 3. It's probably a 5 points, something like that they're giving. I think it's too much. I think it may be a 3-point move as opposed to a 5. So I think I'll take the points here with Dallas at home.
Wait, are you accounting for CeeDee Lamb also potentially being out? Because maybe that's part of this move. Maybe it's not just Dak, but it's also with no Dak and no Lamb.
Yeah, I think Lamb's going to be in there. So I think that's
okay.
If Lamb's not, that'll change things a little bit. But he's going to be worth. He's probably. I mean, he might be worth a point, but that would be the most, probably half a point. But yeah, I just think it's too many points here with Dallas at home. I know how bad they've looked. Look, the Philly defense, you got to give them a lot of credit. This defense is now really one of the better defenses in the league. So you worry about that. But I just think 7.5 is a little bit too high of a price. The total's down at 43. I don't know if we have anything. Let me see if we have anything as far as the on the sharp money on this game. We do not. The only thing is the square money's been coming in on Philly at 6.5. It actually, and it's moved over. So now the square money tends to not move the line. So there could be some other offshore books that are getting some of those sharper books that are getting some Philly action that moved it to 7.5. I think over that 7 number to 7.5 is just too many points. Just give me Dallas plus the points. You can see it on the far right. Philly. That's the square positions.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. So the squares like Houston.
No, that's the book. All the way on the far right is the squares.
Oh, wait. What was this one?
That's the sports book.
Oh, sports book. Yeah, squares. Okay, here we go. The squares like Detroit. They like the Chargers minus 7.5, like the Vikings minus 4.5, and they like Philadelphia at 6.5. They got a better number. The squares beat the closing line. Squares aren't, they're not the worst. For NFL, they've following the squares, not the worst thing. Okay. As far as this game goes, for DFS purposes, Saquon Barkley. I don't know that there's too much else to do with this one. Hurts is expensive. It looks like A.J. Brown will be out in this game. So you have Devontae Smith getting all the work. Dallas Goedert should be back for this one. So, Eagles offense fine, but it seems like a Barkley game to me. And it's hard to pay all the way up for Jalen Hurts in a non-competitive potential environment. It might be competitive, as you said. That might change with Rush, and it could end up being a competitive game. That would be interesting. But I tend to lean towards the Eagles offense is a little too expensive for this situation. All right, Lions at the Texans. 48.5 point total. The Lions are 3.5 point road favorites in this one. Texans are a team, John, that might be in some trouble in this game if they don't get Nico Collins back this week. That offense has just not looked that great from a passing perspective. A lot of what they've been doing is leaning on Joe Mixon, and the Lions are pretty good against the run. So that's going to be a tough one to lean on. How do you see this one going down?
Yeah, I don't disagree. But again, there's a lot of road favorites this week. I mean, yeah, road favorites. I'm gonna lean. I like the Houston plus the points, especially getting it at 3.5. I think that's going to be key here. Detroit, look, they're playing like one of the best teams in the league, and I think we're catching. I think it's time to sell Detroit a little bit. I think Houston is still. I don't think these teams are basically, what you're looking at like a 5.5 point differential on these teams. I just don't think there's that big of a difference between these two teams. I think Houston's able to keep this game tight and potentially win the game. So for that reason, I'll take Houston. I do agree getting Nico Collins back will be a big boost to this offense. They just have not looked as good without him. But yeah, at home, this is a big game. Should be a good game to watch. I like Houston to get to at least keep this one close enough to cover the 3.5.
I like it. And I would say regardless of Detroit's prowess against the run, let me just see what this shows here on the power ranking sheet. But regardless of, their prowess against the run, Houston's still kind of projecting for some decent rushing yards because their running game has been really good. And I think that Joe Mixon and that group can actually just beat the good defense with being good at offense. With that being said, though, yeah, if Nico Collins is back, I will be joining you on the Houston side. But if he's not back, I think I'm going to skip it. I don't like the way that passing offense has looked without Nico in there at all. They just, and it's not like Tank Dell, but not that much. And the rest of them are just not good right now. So yeah, they need Nico back to really threaten. But if they get him back, I definitely love that spot. And maybe the over. All right, Monday Night Football, Dolphins, Rams, game of the week. This is probably my favorite game of the entire week. How are we getting such a great Thursday and Monday? We really got lucky. And Sunday Night Football. We're getting primetime games that are awesome. Where are the Jets? Why don't you put the turds in there? Where are my garbage primetime teams? They're switching it up here, John. NFL throwing us for a loop. I'm used to turd games on the prime times, and we're getting this amazing game. Is there a better fantasy a place for fantasy production than Miami and Los Angeles?
That's another team that you love to target is the Rams. Great game there. I love the Rams though in this game.
Miami and LA, two things in common: great fantasy upside and beautiful women.
I'm very familiar. I was just down that in that area last weekend. So
Miami, yeah. Expensive women.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different scene down there.
Yeah,
but
you know,
well, it's like being in New York or being in LA.
You need to stay in Tampa.
Well,
a trip to Olive Garden, and they're so appreciative. You go to Miami, a whole different world.
Downtown Tampa now is, downtown South Tampa is
they finally get
getting there. Yeah, it's not quite Miami. It's not Miami. It's not the models and everything that are hanging out in Miami. It's not the
I was in Tampa not long ago.
Well, you were in Clearwater.
Yeah, but I got the vibe, and the vibe was really different from Miami.
It's a totally different vibe.
Yeah, it's not anything like that.
It's a little bit more laid back here.
Probably more my scene. I mean, Miami's a little too much.
No, I like Miami in bits and pieces. I have a good time down there, but yeah, living in Miami is not for me.
A bit too much for me. I saw like dudes my age with you could going out to the club with like super hot chicks and just getting a limo and renting Lambos for the night. I was like, man, these guys are really trying hard. John, you would never put that much effort in renting Lambos and shit. You're just,
not my thing.
No. This game, 50.5 point total. Super close, 1 point spread. So pick them. It's leaning Rams at home. But, I mean, I'm not even talking about that. The fantasy goodness is everywhere here. This is the game where Reek is about to go bonkers. Reek is about to show you who he is, what the cheat is about. Achan and Reek going crazy in this game. I don't even know who the captain. It's going to be one of those guys. But as far as the winner of the game, I don't know. It could be for me. I don't know. I have no idea. What do you say?
Yeah, no, I like the Rams here. I like the Rams quite a bit at home. This is a different team. This Ram team is pretty good now. When they've got all the pieces back together, or at least one of them. They just need one of those receivers.
They're both there. I mean, Puka's throwing punches last week, but
he's back.
He'll be back.
I'm just saying, just with one of them, they're good. With both of them back there, they're tough to stop. I like the Rams quite a bit to win this game, and you're really not laying much. So just win it outright, and we'll take it. So I like the Rams a lot on the Monday night game.
There you go. I didn't have a lean. I kind of seemed like a close game to me. John, you like the Rams? We'll get on that. This is actually a pick 'em. Like I said, what about the total? 50.5 points.
I like it to go over as well. So I think we'll get a lot of points in this one.
If I had to do a side, I think the over is the one that I'd rather do rather than picking a winner here. I like the idea because Miami can score so fast. But I like this over idea because both of these teams have elite offenses, and neither defense has been. I don't think either defense is designed well enough to stop this other offense. Both defenses are fine, like in a bubble, but I don't think they're good enough, especially what the Rams bring. I think Miami's going to have some trouble with. So I'm not going to pick a winner, but I do like the over on that game. Guys, you've been listening to the Game Plan with John Statsational, Alesia. We appreciate your being here. And on screen, you've of course been seeing the Sharp app, Sharp odds screen, and the Sharp report, and some of the tools available for Sharp VIP subscribers. If you want to check that out, go to sharp.app and you can sign up with code DFSA25, knocks 25% off any of the subscription types at Sharp. They have a Pro Plus, which is the super real-time quotes and some real-time odds and some other things, and then there's a light plan more for the DFS and the odd screen, but on a I think on a 1 minute delay. So check it out. Let us know what you think. Who do you like this week? All that good stuff. Remember to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get amazing DFS and betting content here at the DFS Arm YouTube channel. And we will see you guys next time. Good luck, and let's cash those bets.